1, 2, 3. Hello everybody, hopefully having a fantastic day. This video is just a little bit about my past and how I approach outsourcing work in Thailand and Vietnam. And also the Philippines. I've been there, I've seen how they operate, what they do. And what I've worked out, I think, is really the best path for a lot of small to medium-sized enterprise businesses. First of all, I taught TESOL in Japan for over a decade. That is teaching English to speakers of other languages. It's a qualification. It's an Australian, the Australian Skills Quality Authority Certificate 4 and Diploma of TESOL. I taught those qualifications to Japanese teachers and also Thai teachers and other teachers from Portugal. Let me just remember. The Philippines and Taiwan as well. Many other countries. I have the workplace training and assessment accreditation, still hold that, and I have a set of training templates that I like to use to design the training required to perform what can be considered mundane tasks. And I always love to use that expression because it's the mundane tasks you as a small to medium-sized enterprise business should be concentrating on making cost efficient. It should be the dynamic processes and the ones that can change where you should be thinking about as being really kept in-house as much as possible, simply because you really have to be right there in the moment to understand them. And I can give you a million examples. One of them right now is marketing and advertising online in Thailand. There's a lot of older, what you'd consider legacy websites that people still use, but these don't attract and draw attention, and you have to stay up to date with what is happening in the contemporary social media world. What I would do is my mundane tasks like my data entry, I would give that to somebody else to do if I'm able to make it more cost efficient. But as for the marketing and advertising right now in Thailand, where the traditional websites no longer garner the attention, it's now quick social media video reels that garner a lot of attention. I mean, we're talking about 100,000, 200, 300,000 views per 15-second clip. But how you attract people to click further to view your product and service is another thing altogether. That should remain in-house because that is really a day-to-day changing operation. But the data entry of people that inquire about the products and services you have, that should be moved to the most efficient model possible. And that's why I do believe that it's the mundane tasks you should be concentrating on. What I like to do with each mundane task, now in Australia we like to multitask and do multiple things at once really. And what I find though is in order to make these tasks efficient for outsourcing is each task gets broken down into its most basic process, and people are trained in each aspect of each process. So instead of multitasking everything, one thing gets broken down, the next thing gets broken down, and you may basically build a checklist for your outsourcing staff. They have to go through that checklist to ensure high quality work. It's exactly what the client is expecting, and we don't have to redo it because that's a waste of time for us and of course for the client. This works really well in Southeast Asia. Unfortunately, for a lot of what I've noticed is that I've met a couple of personal assistants in another country, and they do a fantastic job, but if they're given too many tasks, it can become overwhelming. So the best thing to do, and I suggested this to somebody many years ago, is write down your job, what it is you want the person to do. Break down every task into a maximum of 6 steps, if you can. If not, however many steps is required. But remove all the fluff. Remove the stuff that is absolutely not necessary. Keep it as basic as possible. KIS. Keep it simple. And I find this works best because then the people who are being outsourced can bring up that training document and go through it to check that they've done it. It's very important that this is what I've done at universities in Thailand and vocational colleges in Japan for many, many years. Broken down their processes so they can be easily followed step by step and there's no confusion. And write it up in multiple languages as well, just in case. And when you think about Thailand, you have got people from every country, not just the Philippines. You've got Thai, Cambodian, Laotian, you've got Myanmarese working there. Did I say Vietnamese? Maybe Chinese. A lot of Chinese, Koreans. You've got a massive talent pool available. And in many regards, it's very helpful because if you're a small to medium-sized enterprise and you're wanting to do business overseas, and you've got access to people who are multilingual, that's fantastic. And still, these processes that they must follow should be made into multiple languages, so there is no confusion. And of course, usually they don't need them, but they're always good to have there as sort of a backup to make sure that everybody understands what is expected of them. And that's very, very helpful. And if you follow this method, it's probably the best possible way to get started in outsourcing, because there's really nothing, there's no guesswork. There's nothing to really think about. It's just something to follow. If you follow this process, you'll have no trouble. And that's a very important process. So I make sure that every single time a client comes and wants an outsourcing job to be done, I make sure that we fully understand the process before we even accept it. And then usually a video, instructional video is made. Instructional templates are made as well, and they're given to the outsourcing staff to follow. And of course, if there are any changes, then the small to medium-sized enterprise will contact me and say, we need this change, we need that change. No problem at all. We can do it if we follow the guide that I've developed over many, many years of living overseas in various non-English speaking environments. And the staff are very professional, usually very diligent, can do a really great job. Just got to make sure that the processes are really easy to understand, and there's no confusion, no difficult language, no fluff. Good old Australian word, I think that. Anyway, hopefully that's been very helpful and just a good food for thought when you think about how could I approach outsourcing. So I had better go. Need some breakfast. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.